piece I wrote a while back about a deeply upsetting moment in England on a trip, like I said, a few years ago. You can tell it's a few years ago because there's a reference in here to enjoying a cigarette at a pub, and that is unfortunately a thing of the past. It's called the drinking problem. There are few articles of faith in my admittedly jaundiced worldview, precious few things that I believe to be right and true and basically unimprovable by man or God. This, however, is one of them. A properly poured beer or ale, in my case a hand-cranked Guinness in a clean pint glass of correct temperature, is God's own beverage. A complete and nutritious food source, a thing of beauty to be admired, a force that sweeps away for a time all the world's troubles. One does not drink Guinness in a vacuum-sealed pod. Context is important. And the best place, of course, to fully appreciate the state of enlightenment that comes with a fine English, Scottish, or Irish beverage is, of course, that all-important institution, the pub. So I'm contentedly watching the foam settle in my glass at the festering ferret in London's East End, momentarily at peace with the world, contemplating life's mysteries, planning future good works. I'm smoking, admiring the cracked leather seats, the moldering century-old carpet, the box-shaped, nearly toothless geriatric bartender. I'm running my hand over my worn wood table as if it were the Rosetta Stone, deciphering with my fingertips the cryptic, possibly pre-Druidic messages inscribed there. Stiff as a twat, Bay City Rollers, Jamie is a Mockney shite, their echoes resonating through the ages, connecting me with poets and thinkers of another age. A waiter approaches and draws my attention to a blackboard on the wall and says, "Would you care for something to eat, sir? The ossobuco of Chilean sea bass is particularly good today." I look up with horror. There, just to the right of a well-punctured dartboard, is a portent of the apocalypse. A real menu. I read with growing apprehension and dismay, and I see tendril of fear probing my gut. Soup of fresh green peas with chiffonade of crisp prosciutto and pumpkin froth. Tartlet of foie gras with apricot chutney and house-made brioche. Cruelty-free noisette of pork with snow peas and caramelized shallots. Even worse, there's an entire vegetarian section segregated to the left side of the board. Just before I collapse, shaking to the beer-sodden floor, I read in the dessert section, green apple sorbet with wasabi. Then everything goes black. The next thing I'm aware of is my fingers being pried from the fleshy folds of the bar hag's throat. A large fellow in a chef's coat and apron is doing the prying. A well-scrubbed young commie is assisting by beating me about the head and neck with a saucepot. Copper, I notice, and well-maintained at that. Through broken teeth and a foam of bloody spittle, I managed to splutter, "What? When? How? Why?" before breaking down into convulsive sobs of, "Oh God, oh Jesus, it's awful, the end is here, my life is over." As I release my grip, the commie explains, while keeping a knee on my thorax, "We're a gastropub now. Can I fix you up with some tofu and wild mushroom beignet? They're lovely." Which is when I make a futile grab for the nearest blunt object, and the commie lets me have it with the saucepot. Gastropub. What the fuck is that? For me, fancy food in a traditional old pub is about as inviting as the phrases "hot male-on-male action," or "tonight Billy Joel live," or "free prostate exam with every drink." A good pub should never have fine food. What's wrong with a good meat pie, black pudding, sausages? Shepherd's pie is a beautiful thing. I don't want fucking truffle oil in it. And a vegetarian menu in a pub? Vegetarians in a pub. For their own good, vegetarians should never be allowed near fine beers and ales. It'll only make them loud and belligerent, and they lack the physical strength and aggressive nature to back up any drunken assertions. The British pub is one of the last great bastions of goodness, civility, and decency in this world. Who wants annoying foodies in their local pub? They'll infest the place. They'll multiply like cockroaches. Soon a sip will have barely passed your lips before you overhear, "Have you tried the salmon confit with tomato water? It's fabulous." Or, "I'd like the basil gelato, please." There will be no place to run then, my friends, and no place to hide. The enemy might as well be camped in your apartment, looting your medicine cabinet, buggering your pooch, and listening to Kylie Minogue CDs at ear-splitting volume. Good beer and fancy food should be kept separate. The firewall between them, like church and state. That wall crumbles, and all will be chaos.